Welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about the situation going on over at Naughty Dog, the way fans are reacting to this, the way the media is reacting to this. So we've got news. I guess there was a report, from Bloomberg, Jason Schreier, stating that Naughty Dog is essentially in development hell right now, and with Factions, the multiplayer spinoff of the Last of Us. This is interesting to a point where you've got other gaming media sites and fans all out there being like, "Oh no, it's fine. Don't worry about it," And then over on the Xbox side, you've got, the Xbox guys being like, "Man, if this was Xbox, you would never hear the end of it." And they both have got a point. To be completely honest with you, with this being Naughty Dog's first real attempt at creating a sustainable live service multiplayer game, I get where the fans and the media are coming from. But on the other side, when Xbox does something, like they put out Redfall, one of their teams goes out of their way, a team that's Arcane Studios that's only worked pretty much on single player games, they try to branch out and build something, they get destroyed. So I guess is what happened was Naughty Dog, Sony had Bungie have a look at this is what was said. Naughty Dog or Sony had Bungie do an assessment of the Last of Us Factions, and they came back and said, like, "Look, man, this is not going to be sustainable long term. You are not going to keep people playing this game. This just doesn't fit the mold and doesn't work as a games as a service title." And if you watch the Sony PlayStation showcase event, you could 100% see that is where they're going with PlayStation. For the most part, they're really trying to, and I think the reason why it feels pretty lopsided right now is I really do feel like PlayStation is really just trying to throw everything they can at the wall in the games as a service to see if one will pick up and go with, because they need like one or two. If they could get one or two games of service that are really good and really profitable, then they could probably scale back on the rest of the games of service and hopefully come back to making, like the first party games that they're doing. But as it sits right now, I kind of feel like PlayStation has a big enough lead, or they feel like they have a big enough lead to where they can do this, to where they can, take the hit, take the short-term hit and be able to continue to grow and keep growing the platform with the live service. And I guess you don't get anywhere by not taking risks. But on the other side of that, you also have the media that will continuously back PlayStation and try to shield them from as much of the negativity as possible. And I don't think that's fair either. I don't think it's fair for them to consistently bash Xbox and call Xbox out for every single thing they do, while also giving PlayStation a pass. They are the market leader. PlayStation is the market leader. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of PlayStation fans are not exactly happy with what's going on. That showcase, that angered a lot of fans. You had stone cold Sony fanboy channels out there, like, really upset. Like, this broke them. Like, it broke them to a point where they're like, I don't know if it's repairable for them. I don't know. We got Jeff Keighley's show coming up here in like a week or so. And then we've got the Xbox show following right after that. And if those two shows are good for Xbox, if they tend to show or give people a reason to be interested in Xbox, that could potentially kind of change the dynamic for at least the next year or so, until the next PlayStation showcase. That could drastically change or alter the trajectory of sales, of platform sales or console sales, at least for the short period, because every one of these shows, they come out and they are designed to hype the base and move consoles. That's the whole point of that. So if there's enough out there, if PlayStation is able to fulfill these fanboys' wishes and deliver another showcase or something, throughout the rest of the year to keep people engaged and get people to continue to invest in the PlayStation platform, that would probably be in their best interest, because what they showed was like, man, a whole bunch of stuff that that most of the hardcore gamers just don't care about. Like they don't care about games as service as much. But I mean, you do have some interesting things in there, like Marathon. Uh, I had to sit down and think about it, for a minute. Like if you're like the design of this game, like if it's like something with like PvP or PvE with PvP and like running through like a maze or something like that, like from what I gathered, like that does kind of sound like it could potentially be a pretty cool gameplay loop. But when you look at the other one, like Fair Games, that doesn't look appealing to me at all. That literally reminds me of Hood Outlaws and what was it? Outlaws and see, the game wasn't even that interesting for me to remember it. So Outlaws or something. Yeah, I don't know, but we're gonna move on from that. I feel like PlayStation is in an interesting position right now, and I feel like Xbox is also in an interesting position right now. If things turn out to be like, look, man, this is gonna be PlayStation's slow year where they heavily rely on third-party games, I don't necessarily think that hurts PlayStation as much as it does, Xbox, just because of the bias in the media out there. Because there is a strong bias. Everybody is rooting for PlayStation to keep going, to doing what they got to do. And for the most part, if you're not a big channel, out there, like on YouTube or anywhere, like if you cover Game Pass games, you don't really get the clicks unless you're a big channel. Like I'll cover Game Pass stuff, and sometimes, some of them will hit a little bit. Most of them, like, people don't care. They're just going to go play it on Game Pass and see for themselves. And that is kind of hard if you're an Xbox content creator, at least a smaller one, to try to draw in, and grow your channel. But for the most part, like, covering full price games is pretty much the way to go. And for the most part, like, covering AAA games, like the big AAA games, that too can be hit or miss, unless I think that's one of the reasons why everybody just jumps on the hate bandwagon and see who can make the coolest hate stuff when everybody decides to hate a game, because that's kind of just, where it is. Do I have, do I worry about PlayStation this generation? Not really. Not really. I'm not like super worried about what PlayStation's going to do, but at the same time, it does appear, like, it really does appear that they are moving, that they're shifting from quality single player games to a live service model that's more sustainable. And they kind of have to do that. If they would go subscription service over there at PlayStation like Xbox and do all their games day and date, I do think that short term it would affect PlayStation pretty significantly, just because of the fact that most of their first player games, they don't necessarily get played by a lot of people. They don't really have that they don't really have that market share, I mean, they've got the market share for the consoles out there and people buying third-party games, but they don't necessarily have the attach rate that, like Xbox or Nintendo have with their first-party games. So it's so it's an interesting one. It really is an interesting one to sit here and, like, really kind of think about PlayStation. But yeah, I mean, I've been saying it ever since I heard Jim Ryan say it in the beginning of this generation, that they've got a lot of live service planned. I knew right then and there that this was going to be an interesting generation, and a lot of the fans aren't going to be happy. Like, right now is technically PlayStation's downtime. This is their first party downtime. This is the first one for this generation where all of their last gen games have already shipped. They're going to have their staggered releases, but instead of finding a way to fill that with more first party games, for single player first party games, they are heavily relying on PSVR 2 and these live service games to try to get them over this hump. And then there's, I mean, like, you're going to have third party games that are going to come out. They're going to launch. They're either going to sink or swim. PlayStation has some of those games locked in exclusively. You know, you've got like Stellar Blade and some other games that Sony's already got locked down to help with that. But man, I don't know. I don't know what to feel about Sony right now. Bringing out like a Project Q controller that's just it's essentially a screen with a controller on it that really isn't going to do anything more than that. I don't know if that was a smart decision or not, but I'm definitely going to pick that up. But other than that, like, it really does kind of suck to see the media so kid glove when it comes to PlayStation and their first party development studios. And it does suck. It does suck to see how hard they go against Xbox, but they don't ever seem to want to, you know, rock the boat when it comes to PlayStation, so to speak. And I find that disingenuous and extremely unfair when Xbox is out there making it so people can literally play games for as low as $15 a month, for as low as $10 a month. You could play brand new day one first party AAA games for $10 a month. So yeah, I don't know, man. That's why I will continue to give Xbox the benefit of the doubt this generation, due to that simple fact that, like, you are not locked in to having to buy their third party game or their first party games if you don't want to. You definitely get to try those way before you buy them. And that's incredible, because a lot of people would have been pretty mad if they would have spent $70 on Redfall. Let's be honest. A lot of people would have been mad. They would have been freaking out if they would have spent the $70 on Redfall. But I don't know now. After seeing that showcase, I don't know if people really should be mad about Redfall. I don't know. Like, that's hard to judge, because what I saw at the PlayStation showcase doesn't look leaps and bounds better than what Redfall looks. So yeah, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.